My name is Raymond Ojikwe. I came to the Universal Church in 2014. At that time, I was having a problem, and that was a constant headache. I was at the university at that time, and it affected my concentration in class. So I was invited by my auntie at that time to come to the church, and I also accepted because I wanted this situation to come to an end, because it's something which had persisted from the time I was in primary 4, and it was affecting me to come time and again and goes on and comes back, keeps going on and coming back. I thought a lot of medical attention, because I remember my father used to take me to the hospital week in, week out, but whenever they would conduct these tests, results would come out negative. And even one time I remember my mother took me to see one of the witch doctors to try and get a solution to my problem. But this only lasted for a few months, and it kept on recurring. And that's why I took the step and then went to church. I remember when I went to church, they were talking about deliverance, people who have problems, and I took a keen interest in coming for Friday prayers of deliverance. And I used to leave the university every Friday to make sure that I would be in the house of God to seek for His deliverance. And I want to thank God, because from this chain of prayers, I became delivered of this constant headache, which had affected my academic performance to the extent that I would only depend on medication, painkillers, in order for me to concentrate and read the books at that time. Having completed the university, life was so difficult. It was the moment when reality set in, because after you've completed studies, you expect to move in the next stage of life. And being a young man who had planned how wanted this life to move on, I had expected that immediately I would complete the university, I would get a good job, move on, get married, have children, further my studies, and so forth. But this did not happen instantly. In fact, so many problems came in between there. God managed to open a way and gave me my first job after leaving campus in 3 months. Before even graduating from school, He gave me that job. It kept pushing me. But the living conditions of that job were not good, because the house in which I was living in was in a mess. When it rains, I have to push the bed aside, and then when it rains, it flows through the wall and comes down. Sometimes when it is too cold in the night and the morning hours, it forms droplets on top of the roof, and then it starts falling on you. It made me so pissed off. I didn't like the life I was living in at that time. I took part in a number of campaigns until in 2019, that was around May, in the campaign of Israel, when I decided that this would be my last campaign of Israel. Because I had determined that if God cannot change my situation, then what kind of God am I serving? Because I remember I made a very strong prayer before even making that campaign. And when I went into that campaign, I went into it fully. And things didn't happen instantly, because I was not seeing anything happening. And I even started doubting that maybe God doesn't work that way. So an opportunity came, and I applied to one of the big organizations. And because I had made a challenge with God that, God, I want you to give me a job that gives me the salary that I am earning today as my tithes. And I applied for that job. I did the interviews. And even after doing the interviews, deep inside of me, I was confident that this job would be mine. 2 months down the road, I was not among the successful candidates. And I was so devastated and frustrated because I had put my hope in God and I had expected Him to perform a miracle, to turn around my financial life. But just like they say, God's ways is not your way. 2 months down the road, I got a call and I was offered that job that I had done interview for 2 months ago. And from that moment, my financial life started to change. It is from this job that God gave me that I bought my first car in my life, something that I never anticipated for. It is from this job that God granted me a piece of land, not only a piece of land, but about 3 pieces of land that I have also managed to put in one of my homes that I will live in with my family happily. It is from this blessing of my financial life that God has also blessed my love life. I had dated my girlfriend for over 7 years, and because of the condition in which I was living in, I could not commit to marrying her. But as they say, when you have faith and you put your hope in God, everything is possible. When God transformed my financial life, we are able to get married on the altar with my lovely wife. Today, all these 6 years, I devoted my life to material acquisitions and happiness. I did not focus my life so much in seeking the salvation of my soul. It was last year, 2022, around May, when I realized that I really needed the Holy Spirit to be inside of me. I needed God to be inside of me. And at that time, I was having so many difficulties. I was a bit confused because I thought my life was in God's hand. Because I go to church, I pray. So I knew my life was in His hands. But here the voice is coming telling me, I want your life. I realized that my mind was not with God. I was focused so much in acquiring my possession and being happy. On certain fasts of December, I fasted, and when I came for the overnight, I was blessed that day with the Spirit of God. I felt peace inside of me. I felt the assurance of God that day. I thank God for the gift of His Spirit upon my life.